My name's Elizabeth Hayes. I work for Students for Liberty as an academic programs associate. So I help develop academic resources for our student leaders, and I also work on our North American events. So I help put on our regional conferences. I would love to tell you all about our regional conferences later and see you guys all there. So today I'm going to be talking about some kick-ass activism. I hope you guys are ready to get weird. Okay, so how many of you guys have done activism before on campus? Great. Okay, so a good portion of you guys. How many of you are students on campus currently? Okay, so also a good portion of you, right on. So this will be great for you guys. So steps for success. The first thing you want to do is pick the focus. What are you guys going to be advocating for? You want to set the actionable items. You're going to want to execute the activism event, follow up with the new contacts you make, and then report. And I'll go through all of these steps further. So first step, pick the focus. A few things you might want to consider. Again, what are you advocating for? What are you passionate about? What's going to resonate with students on your campus? Do you go to a more liberal-leaning campus? Are advocating for gun rights, is that going to kind of resonate more and spark a little controversy? Do you go to a more conservative campus? Do you think campaigning for ending the drug war is going to ruffle some more feathers? What are you going to do that's going to be a little provocative and get people bought into your idea and ready to participate in more activism with you? Also, you want to keep in mind what the goal of your activism is. Earlier, we had Matt Needham present about free speech activism. And so that could be a goal. Do you want to change codes on your campus? Do you want to simply educate others on the ideas? Do you want to recruit? A lot of these things can all be done in one activism event. Just be focused on what your main goal is. So different types of activism, free speech activism, of course, criminal justice reform, Second Amendment, legalization or ending the drug war. These are all very popular topics that our student leaders like to advocate for. Certainly not limited to these topics, but these definitely resonate the most. Or maybe you wanted to set up a really kick-ass slip and slide on campus to recruit people. I don't know your life. I'm not judging you guys. The second thing you want to do is set the actionable items. When and where will the event take place? This is crucial. You want to choose a high-traffic area on campus. Obviously, if you're in a spot where no students are coming, you're not going to be actively recruiting. The best times for activism would be 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's when most students are on campus. If you're out there at 7:30 in the morning, not many people are going to be excited to see you. If you're there pretty late at night, again, people are going to be tired from their day and not very interested in engaging. Also check the weather. I can't emphasize that one enough. I went to school at the University of Iowa. We did a free speech wall in negative 20-degree weather, and I think people just signed it because they felt bad for us, so definitely check that. Also, if it's raining, people aren't going to want to stop and talk to you. If it's really, really hot as well, just keep that in mind. Also, you can kind of play on the weather, so if it is really hot out, maybe have like a lemonade stand or have water bottles with promotional materials attached to them. Something that's going to engage with other students. What materials are you going to need? Again, you need to pick your focus, and then from there you can really craft what kind of materials you want to put and hand out to your students. Plan ahead. That's the biggest thing I can tell you. You don't want to do it the day of and be like, hey, get your whole chapter organization together and say you guys are going to go out to the main spot on campus and do your activism. Typically, it's going to fall apart. You want to make sure you have a volunteer schedule set, and you're following up with all of your members as well to make sure they know when they're supposed to be there and that they're accountable. Another important thing is to take advantage of activism stipends. So I work for Students for Liberty. We provide a lot of great activism stipends, especially for like Constitution Day. We do strike teams. Those are centered around different focus areas like free speech, immigration reform, things like that. Also, Young Americans for Liberty has a lot of great stipends available. Same with the Leadership Institute. So if you're not familiar with those other two organizations, I highly recommend you check them out. Also, you can request an activism kit from Young Americans for Liberty. They'll literally ship you an activism kit in a box. It'll be all the materials you would possibly need for a successful activism event, including sign-up sheets, promotional flyers, handout materials, buttons, stickers, pens, everything you could ever want. Also, who's going to be there to help? One of the main things for tabling is you need people there. You need at least 2 people for every activism event, I would argue. The first one should be by the table, but never behind it. You always want somebody in front of the table, actively recruiting, actively engaging other students. And the other one should be more out in the open, actually going up to students, giving them materials, catch them as they're walking by. A lot of times students will have their headphones in and zone in and literally do anything to avoid eye contact with you. Make it uncomfortable for them and like put it in front of their face. They'll totally grab it. And also reach out for extra manpower. If you are a one-man show right now, if you just started your student organization on campus, there are tons of organizations here to help you. Students for Liberty, for example, we have a campus coordinator program. These are our best activists in the nation. And you can certainly call them the ones up in your region and have them come out to your campus and help you recruit more members. Same with Young Americans for Liberty. They have a state chair program. And the Leadership Institute has field representatives that are stationed in the field at all times to help you guys execute any sort of activism events you would like to do. So, brings us to the execution. A few things to consider. Always be getting those signups. And always bring extra sign-up sheets and pens. I've seen it too many times where people have one sign-up sheet, they'll have a really successful event, but then they won't have any more paper, so they call it a day. Definitely don't want that to happen to you. Same with pens. Pens run out, pens get lost, people steal pens. Make sure you have a plethora of pens ready to go. Also, make sure you have enough materials. Again, using partner organizations to help, like Students for Liberty, Young Americans for Liberty, Leadership Institute. You can get pocket constitutions from the Cato Institute or Foundation for Individual Rights and Education. Lots of options there. Also have quarter sheet flyers to hand out. Quarter sheet flyers are way more effective than full sheets. It seems like a really kind of picky thing, but it's easier to hand out that way, more easy to grab. It's just better, I promise. Also, for tabling, this is what a really good table display looks like. You can see they have their banner on the bottom. It's a Young Americans for Liberty chapter. They have pocket constitutions laid out. They have their poster board. On their board, it's interactive, so I don't know if you can see it. But it says, should we legalize, and has columns for yes and no, and people put stickers on what they think should be legalized. So this is obviously drug war activism. So we have like cocaine, shrooms, marijuana, opium, MDMA, lots of interesting choices there. And surprisingly, nobody said they should be not allowed, so that's awesome. Another great thing about this table is they have treats. You'll see on the right-hand side, they have Liberty Munchies. I think those are brownies in there. They also have candy kind of up against the board. And another really cool thing that they have is they have a speaker on the far left. That's really cool too. You can be bumping tunes, and that's a good way to get people to come over to your table. Actively engage others and have fun. Don't be shy. It's only weird if you make it weird. Just go out and talk to people. If you're having fun, if you have a smile on your face, people are going to be excited to talk to you. Also remember, the table does not get recruits. You do. This is Ty Hicks, Yale's National Field Director. This is his favorite line ever. You can see here in this photo, he's actively engaging passersby. He's handing out flyers to them to promote his Yale chapter. Never sit behind the table. Always be in front of it. The fourth trick is to follow up. You want to follow up immediately with the contacts you generate from doing your activism. If you don't follow up within the next day or two, they're going to be lost. They're going to forget who you are, why you're contacting them, and things of that nature. So for the best results, you want to follow up as soon as possible. Also, when you're following up, you can't just send a simple message like, hey, it's great meeting you, looking forward to connect again. But it's best if you have an ask in there. You want to ask them, you want to invite them to the next meeting, invite them to the next social, invite them to the next event, whatever it is. That's going to help you produce numbers for your event. And it's also going to make them feel really invited and included, which is important. Don't get discouraged. I've done plenty of activism events where I had 200, 300 contacts, and 2 people showed up. It happens. Just keep at it. You'll find the right people, you'll click with them, and they'll keep showing up. And when you do meet those new members, when they do finally come to your meeting, your event, make sure everyone feels welcomed. Introduce them to your veteran members. One thing I like to do with my chapter when I was in college is we would just go around the room and introduce everybody. Frequently, we would have new members, so it was really helpful just to get an idea of who was new and make sure we had veterans communicating with them. This is a really good pro tip that I highly recommend all of you guys do. When you get contacts, usually you'll have a pen and paper, they'll sign it up, just put their name down, put their phone number down, their email, their grad year. You want to put that contact information in a Google Doc right away. If you have a bigger group, this is really helpful because you can share the Google Doc with your other members. And you guys can, on the right-hand side, it says last contact date, and there's notes as well. That way you can make sure you can have an accurate record of when the last time you spoke to them was. Are they falling off the map? Are they actively engaged? It'll just help you kind of get a better understanding of how involved they are or want to be. Another pro tip as well is when you have a sign-up sheet, you want to fill in the first 3 lines with names. So I always put my name and like 2 other my members' names on there. That's really helpful because students will be discouraged and won't want to put their phone number down, but you just want to kind of nudge them into doing so. So reporting your activism, why reporting matters. You want to show the rest of the network what you've been up to. You put the time and effort in organizing the events, why not show it off? It's also really helpful because you'll provide other activists with ideas. You can show donors that their money is being put to good use with all the cool materials you'll receive. Obviously, you'll be able to promote your student organization and group and help recruit numbers. And if you participate in activism but nobody knows about it, did it happen? Does it matter? If you're doing activism, you're advocating for something. You want somebody to see you. You want to make noise. You want to make a splash. And also, you want to report it so people know that you're actively engaging with them and having fun. If you look at this photo here, I mean, that's like a good group of people. I'd want to go hang out with them. Ways to report your activism, blogging is a huge one. Students for Liberty has a blog that we highly recommend you submit your activism events to. Young Americans for Liberty does as well. These are the links to that. Also posting to social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever you guys have and use. Social media isn't the only way to do it though, so don't just get lost in a social media bubble. Make sure you're using creative persistence in regards to the different mediums you're using for reporting. Writing an op-ed is another great option. Op-eds are really cool because they'll get published either in your school newspaper or a local newspaper, and that's a good way to bring attention to a different demographic. Typically, people who read the newspaper are going to be of an older generation. Do any of you guys still read newspapers? I certainly don't, so great. Unless it's online, then that's awesome. Online newspapers. And also earning media is really cool as well. So on the right-hand side here, I have a screenshot of an article that Reason ran about a Young Americans for Liberty chapter at the University of Delaware. The title is, University of Delaware students draw a penis on a free speech ball, cops made them censor it. So things like this can generate a lot of popularity, can get a lot of media hits, and really promote your chapter or organization. So I'm going to get into some really cool examples of some kick-ass activism. So the first couple slides I'm going to show here are about ending the drug war. On the left, we have Captain Cannabis. This is a really fun way to engage students on your campus. From my experience in activism, I've noticed that drug war activism tends to be the most exciting for students. They get the most engaged with that, and they get a lot of signups that way. On the right-hand side, this is a better picture of that poster that was in a previous slide. But again, it says, should we legalize, yes or no? This is a good way to get people to interact with you. They'll want to engage and participate. There was another thing on that table that said, like, free blunt rolling lessons, so lots of crazy things you can do with this. Oh, and here's another one. On the left-hand side, this chapter decided to give rolling lessons, so they had joints and tobacco that they were rolling. So that was interesting. A lot of people got up and got lessons, so that's cool. And then on the right-hand side, we have one of our activists who decided to dress up as a marijuana leaf and advocate. This was highly effective. Everyone wants to kind of go talk to her and see, hey, why are you dressed up like a marijuana leaf? So that was really cool. This is another really cool example. This was a black market baked sale that New Mexico State University put on. On the menu it says pot brownies, crack rock candy, Mexican black tar fudge, and 420s cookies and cupcakes. So the pop brownies, obviously none of this actually has drugs in it. Let me just make that very clear. The pop brownies are typically cosmic brownies, the Little Debbie kinds, and they'll put them in a clay pot. So it's really just a play on words. The crack rock candy is just the rock candy that you can buy at a store, like the little suckers. Mexican black tar fudge is just chocolate fudge. And then they had cookies with like marijuana leaves decorated on them. So pretty festive and fun. People wanted to go check it out, eat the goods that they made for them. So I know Matt Needham talked about free speech activism a little bit, and you'll hear a little bit more about it in the next session from CJ Saylor. But this is a really cool thing to advocate for. Students have a lot of fun with this. Free speech balls are really cool. They're these giant beach balls, usually 8 to 10 feet. And again, partner organizations can buy these for you. They run about $100 each, but SFL, Young Americans for Liberty, Leadership Institute can all provide financial help with that. A pro tip, though, do not try to inflate this with your own lungs. You will not do it. And you would be surprised as to how many people try. Get a bike pump or something. It's not going to happen otherwise. And, if it rains, wear it as a poncho. It's, multifunctional. Here's some more free speech activism. I really like the guy on the right. On the left, his sign says, "I do not need approval to speak." This is actually one of the Leadership Institute regional field coordinators, so hopefully you'll see him around. And then on the right-hand side, this is Catherine Lang, and she has a sandwich board, so it's just, 2 posters, one on the front and one on the back with straps, and then she had people just sign it. So it's like a mobile free speech wall. And then the actual free speech walls, these are a lot of fun as well. This takes a little bit more planning to execute because you're going to have to build the free speech wall, but they're a ton of fun. So the one on the right, that is from when it was negative 20 degrees, like I told you guys. You can see everyone's really bundled up, but people still signed it. I think they just felt bad for us. And then on the left-hand side, this is another great example. The key is to obviously not censor it. People are going to come and try to censor it. People can self-censor, but you don't want to go up as an active member of your chapter and cross anything out. Another thing to mention about free speech activism, the free speech balls are really great because they're mobile, and so you don't need to have a permit for a standing structure. So you can just literally roll it around campus, and the administrators cannot tell you that is not okay. It is 100% constitutional, unless you go to a private school. But if you're at a public university, you can 100% do this without any issues. Same with signs and the sandwich boards. It's mobile, so you can just kind of go around wherever you want to. And then with the free speech walls, typically you need a permit for these from your administration. So just keep that in mind. If you don't have a permit, which I certainly did plenty of events without one, they might come heckle you. My favorite thing to do, a good troll, if they ask you for your permit, have a pocket constitution on hand and show them the First Amendment. They don't typically like that, but it's okay. Another fun troll I mentioned earlier, having like a small speaker. When the campus police or whoever comes up, start playing Bad Boys. It makes it a lot more fun. So you can also do Second Amendment activism on your campus. Surprisingly, the sign on the left caused a lawsuit. Nicole Sanders, who is a Students for Liberty campus coordinator and also Young Americans for Liberty state chair, held this sign at Blinn College in Texas, of all places, the most gun-friendly state of them all. And she was escorted off by campus police for creating a space that was hostile and made students feel unsafe. She ended up suing her school and won. She just recently won after about 1.5 years of litigation, so if you see her, definitely give her a high five. And then on the right-hand side, this is a more relaxed version. SFL did not just a gun campaign where we wanted to bring awareness to all different ways guns can obviously help minority groups and protect others on campus. So this was a really cool event for that. Other fun things to do, this is a condom wrapper on the left-hand side. It says, "Either way, you're screwed." That's a fun way. People love to take those. It's just a nice, easy grab. On one side, it had that. On the other side, it had a quick, brief memo of when the next meeting was for the chapter. On the right-hand side, this was a character that one of the Yale chapters made up. His name is Donald Tramp, and he was advocating on campus for a bunch of ludicrous policies and a lot of sophomoric values. He is wearing shorts, by the way. They're just really short, so That was a lot of fun. And also just like kind of general political trolling. So, Donald Trump obviously is one. The one on the left here, it says, it's a picture of Obama. It says, I've said a lot of things. They all turned out to be wrong. Ron Paul was right. Join today, Young Americans for Liberty. A very simple sign. Again, this is great because you're out advocating. You're not stuck behind a table, but you're out actively recruiting people and engaging. On the right-hand side, this actually is Nicole Sanders. This is the other sign that she had besides the defend gun rights on campus. And this is just obviously mocking the Obama administration, which is great. This wasn't as offensive. People didn't get upset about this, but again, it was a great way, especially in Texas, to generate more support for her student organization. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have. Do you guys have any questions or comments?
Could you speak to the value of filming your activism?
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up. Filming your activism is essential, especially when it comes down to free speech activism, or if you're being approached by campus administration. Always have a phone out ready to go. Also notable, never film like this, always film like this. It's way better. You'll get a wider shot. The other thing too is you want to be a little discreet about it. You want to be like, hi, like I'm totally filming you guys. Just kind of like low-key, just be like, yeah, filming. It's really helpful. And so I used to work at Young Americans for Liberty. I was their free speech director. I would help students litigate their schools and sue the universities for unconstitutional free speech codes. When FIRE takes on a case, 9 out of 10 times there's a video involved. And the key is you want to get the administrator saying, you're not allowed to be here. And that's just the golden ticket. Really is. There's a lot of really great videos. Highly recommend. If you guys aren't familiar with Campus Reform, that's kind of a project at the Leadership Institute. They do a lot of groundbreaking work in regards to free speech activism. So if you're interested in learning more about the triggering of universities and campus administrators getting frazzled, highly recommend checking that out. Great question. Thank you. Yes?
You talked a lot about what you should be doing in activism. Sometimes I feel like I learn the most from my failures.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you could tell us about one failure you had in your activism days and what you learned from it.
Oh my God, there's so many. Where do I start? So the main one that comes to mind is I was doing a free speech wall. It's my first one, and I was really excited. Tons of students came up and signed it. Probably 300 students came by. I didn't get one sign up. I was so excited. People were like, yeah, here's a marker, say whatever you want. I didn't have them sign a sign-up sheet. So I made contact with how many students, but I got 0 of them on board with our chapter. So that was a huge pitfall. Definitely learned from that mistake. Do you have any mistakes that you've made that learn that we need to get them to sign the sign-up sheet? We need to get their contact info. It's great to have them get engaged and participate, but if we don't have their contact info, we can't follow up with them and get them to a meeting or an event. So, did you have a lesson that you learned that you want to share?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest lesson I learned in my campus activism days was making clear everyone's responsibilities and being willing to give a lot of responsibility out as long as it's clear. You can't say, okay, everyone go out and put flyers up this week
Right.
With no expectations, because then nobody puts up flyers.
Yeah.
You're honestly better off having one person who really wants it than everyone tries to do the common, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, delegating is essential too. That was a problem that I suffered as well. I'd want to just take ownership and do it all, so I know it'd all get done. But delegating is a great way because you can get other people bought into your message. You can make them feel important. You can honestly give them more leadership skills and responsibility, and that's going to increase their likelihood of continuing with the chapter and perhaps coming into a leadership position as well. So that's really great. Any other questions? Okay, great. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are ready to do some campus activism and make a difference for liberty.